Welcome back, everybody, to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. I'm author and ghost historian Mike Ricksecker. With me, as always, Vanessa Hogle, my co-hostess, and down in the chat room, Shana, shenanigating and shaking everything up. A fantastic guest up for us tonight, Brian Cano. You can catch him now on Paranormal Caught on Camera Season 1. There is a Season 2 coming out. You also recognize him from Haunted Collector, and Brian, also saw that you had a spot there on one of the Oak Island episodes, the Digging Deeper episodes, which I do want to ask you about. But welcome to the show. Great to have you aboard.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing really well. So, want to get a little background from you first. I know you've been involved with the paranormal for quite some time. Of course, you're on some of the different shows that we just mentioned. But where did this whole thing begin for you? How did you get started here?
Wow. I get asked this question a lot.
And I know it's the typical question.
Well, see, that's the thing. I never tire of answering it because I feel like as I answer the question, I revisit my own past and think, wow, it has been a while, hasn't it? It's been 17 years that I've been officially in the paranormal. Now, I started in 2002 with a local cable access show called Scared on Staten Island. But I feel like I was always interested in the topic. I was always a child that was excited and amazed at the things and mysteries in our world. I was just always eager to explore. Now, when I was a kid, I used to love watching In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
And I could tell you, I don't remember too many of the episodes themselves, but I remember very clearly the end credits. And as it was rolling, at the top left of the screen would be different pictures, and you'd see like Leonard Nimoy outside of a castle, you'd see Stonehenge, you'd see the Loch Ness Monster, and whatever the topic of the show was, I always remember watching it and thinking, I want to do that. I want to go to those places. I'm going to get to the bottom of that. And when you're a kid, that seems completely logical and completely doable. And I mean, here I am. I haven't solved any of those particular mysteries, but I'm doing, and I think that's wow. If I could just go back and tell my younger self, yeah, just be patient. You're going to go through a skeptical phase, but you're going to come out of it, and you're going to be doing some incredible things all over the world.
Awesome. But it is logical. It is logical. I have to touch on that because it's. I think that unfortunately, due to how certain things are perceived in society, that when we talk about things like this and the fantastical nature of them, people look at it as the impossible. But it is completely possible to go to those places and search out those things and have those experiences. I've done it, and I'm a broke single mother. Yeah. I've been all over the world. So I love the fact that you put that out there, and maybe if anybody is watching this and their kids are saying the same thing, that they'll say, hey, that's okay. It's okay to have those dreams. It's okay to go after them regardless of how old you are. And maybe they will be the ones who find those answers.
It's good to hold on to that, but I feel like it's just a side effect of our society that you get older, you go to school, you get into the job market, you pay your taxes, your commute, you kind of get beaten down. Real life really says, you know what? Get in line, do your portion, don't make too many waves. And I feel like that's what's appealing about the paranormal. That is what is so exciting about it. It allows people to rediscover that wonder. It allows them to become a child again. When you had Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, there were things out there that you couldn't see that you believed in, and they were real. And now we have things that we can't always see, but they are real. And our investigating, our exploration of these phenomena and this topic allows us to be kids again, but as adults with the resources that we have, with the logic that is available to us, with the things that we've learned. And every 5 years or so or more, I can talk to my earlier self in 2009. I can talk to myself in 2002. I can talk to myself as a 10-year-old boy who saw Ghostbusters for the first time and was amazed. All of those are different people. I'm a different person now. In 5 years, I'll be a different person again. But everything that I acquire and add to Brian, the character sheet, it's just a journey, and it really is the journey, not the destination. It sounds very, it's like a Hallmark card, but it's true.
I like it. Brian, the character sheet. I think you just made a D&D reference.
I did.
That's awesome. And I like what you said about, growing up as kids and, Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. And there are studies that do show that kids who believe in those things growing up become more creative people in the future. And it's something that I've, liked looking into, what you're doing with the paranormal is that you have some very creative experiments that you're doing. It's not just, whip out a device and sit there. There's some different things that you're actually trying to do to experiment with this activity that we're experiencing. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of the different things that you've been doing there?
One of the main things that I've been trying, and I know I'm not alone in this, and I'm definitely not the originator of the concept, but for the longest time, I've had this theory that not all EVPs that we collect are necessarily from spirit. I feel that given the array of responses and given the specificity of some of the responses we get, I have to raise an eyebrow and wonder, okay, well, where is this coming from really? I hypothesize that some of these answers are coming from ourselves, the mind. And this is parapsychology 101. This is, okay, there is no external force here, but it's coming from us, the observer. Now, consider this. EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. How is that generated? Where do spirits get the energy? How do they know how to deliver this? And why can't we hear it with our ears? If you and I were standing in the same room together, you could hear my voice because I'm taking air, forcing it up from my lungs, diaphragm, up past my teeth and tongue. It's making vibration in the air that is traveling through the air, reaches your ears. Your ear sends that impulse to your brain, and it translates it into language. These are a lot of steps. This is a lot of work. This is a lot for something as simple as a conversation. So It's all physical. How do spirits do it without a physical body that we're aware of? Well, okay, can be considered a psychic impression. It's a psychic impression onto our digital recording media. Now, if it's possible for a bodiless spirit to implant a vibration onto a recorder, then why can't we do it with a mental impulse? And to that effect, I want to say for probably going a little more than 10 years now, I've been doing this experiment I call the psychic projection experiment, where we have the group of people select a word and concentrate on nothing but that word to try to get it from your brain onto the recorder. And it took a long time until it worked. I feel like I almost had given up, and I just did it to buy time at paranormal events, like, hey, let's try this, knowing it's not going to work. But wow, we've got 45 minutes to kill, and I've kind of done all my tricks already.
Right.
And one time it worked, and then again, and then again, and then again. And over the past 10 years, it's worked 23 times. Not That's a high amazing. Batting average, but the fact that it's worked at all means there is something to it. And the times that it has worked have been when the word is visceral and means something to the audience, or is funny, or just kind of, it can't be stoic. And I feel like it's worked when there are people that have developed psychic ability present. A lot of variables, a lot of things that I'm still working out, but that's my main experiment. And I would hope that 15, 20, 30 years down the line, if this is proven, or if someone else picks up this research, that at least somewhere in the annals of paranormal history, maybe there's a footnote that says, yeah, hey, Brian Cano used to do this.
Right.
I would love to get in on that, and I'm going to tell you why. First off,
Vanessa's our resident psychic medium, so.
Yeah. I've been doing this 45 years. first off, I totally understand where you're going with this particular hypothesis, with this particular theory. I completely get it, because even though this isn't a direct quote from Albert Einstein, it is something similar to where if we used our brains and their entire functionality, we would never have to open our mouths to speak. Now, I'm one of those people who is, I hear them speak out loud. I hear them speak in my head, and it's verified on EVPs. So I'm one of those people. But I'm also one of those people where psychedelics don't affect me, marijuana doesn't affect me, alcohol doesn't affect me, because my brain it's already that open. So I see where you're going with that. I just think that, like you stated earlier, with how as we get older, we're just become shut down because of society and the adult stuff we have to do and jobs and all that other crap, that we lose that part of ourselves that is growing at such a magnificent rate when we're younger, as far as our brains go, being able to communicate in that way. It's no different than a mother and a child being able to communicate in separate rooms when the baby's 2. It has that ability. My son and I had that. We still have that. I know what he's thinking. He knows what I am thinking before it even happens. But I've nurtured that aspect of him.
Mm-hmm.
As adults, we have that beaten out of us. And it's finding that openness again to allow that to happen. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just as far as the experiment goes, I mean, yours is one situation, and since everyone is an individual, they are going to approach things differently and have different degrees of proficiency in that ability. And unfortunately, right now, we as a species, I feel like it's atrophied because we don't use it. It's not necessary in everyday life, almost like our appendix. What did it do? Why was it there? Maybe somewhere it had use, but it doesn't have any use any longer. And we are in danger of having that completely bred out of us unless we start nurturing it, developing it, and taking it out of the role of mysticism, because it's not a superpower. It's an ability like sight, smell. Psychics can be wrong. And this is one
Absolutely.
thing I'm not attacking them when I say it. They're not superheroes. You know,
No.
they're not seers that are coming with information on high that you must believe this. Just like every
Although there are
other
some that
sense.
act like that.
There's some that act like that. Not this bitch right here. No, anybody.
There are a few.
Yeah.
Anybody can be wrong, self-included.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's since everything comes from a place of perspective, we can only analyze that which we see through our own eyes. We have to step outside of ourselves and look at it from many different angles to ascertain truth. So much of it is skewed by our own personal perspectives, and that's why it's if we are to be researchers, we have to take ourselves out of that equation. And this is another thing too, as in regards to my experiment. I always get asked this in groups. They're like, well, and they really want to hold on to what they have previously believed, especially regarding EVP. And they go, well, why can't it be a ghost just hearing your thoughts and repeating the word? I'm like, okay, well, that may be possible, but why introduce yet another party into it? Maybe the ghost heard it, told the alien told it to Bigfoot, he went around like, it's not necessary. Scientifically, I'll invoke Occam's razor. That's the simplest explanation is most likely the correct one.
I have questioned myself on many, many, many occasions when I'm doing readings, and the people aren't allowed to talk when I'm doing them until I'm completely done. I've questioned myself. Am I just pulling this out of their head? I've questioned myself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I've stated that publicly, be like, when people are like, well, where does it come from? How you do? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Don't have a fucking clue. So I appreciate and applaud the idea of going about it a different way and trying to have some type of experiment that could be duplicated.
Right.
because if you just do it once, I mean, you have results, but they're not results that can be confirmed over and over and over again. So,
well, the difficulty about any kind of experimentation in the paranormal is that because it involves people, you could do experiments with chemicals because they have certain properties and they will react the same every time. You could do experiments with mechanical things because they will tend to over a mean average operate the same way. But with people, you line up 10 people, you say, hey, what'd you think of that movie? You'll have 10 different opinions. Are any of them fact? No, there is no fact, but there's just the perspective. So how can one gain truth from perspective? And because we're reaching out to personalities, the study of the paranormal is not a hard, cold science like meteorology or geology, where we're tracking weather patterns or we're trying to differentiate things in the earth. Those are things that are static, and you can pick them up, look at them, and be like, hey, this is quartz, this is shale. They have properties that can be understood. You can't line up those 10 people, and other than the fact that you say those are human beings, once you say that's Alex, that's Joe, that's Christina, that in itself changes the parameters. And I've said this many times, how can I develop a formula for that? What string of ones and zeros can I arrange that will equate you? And then how many ones and zeros will I have to change to then change you to Mike? It's mind-boggling.
Everybody's algorithm is different.
It's the repeatability factor is difficult because once you put free will into it, I mean, even just in my experiment, in my psychic projection experiment, I always have one wise guy in the room, usually the skeptic boyfriend of a girl who wanted to come.
Right.
He'll just sit there like, and I tell them to think of a word. So if there's 10 people, there's 9 people thinking one word, and then there's that 10th person who's thinking of another word because he wants to see if his word comes up. And that's already, I tell people, don't insert your experiment into my experiment because you're making it not work. If we're not all together on this, then the data is useless and it's pretty much a waste of time. So,
yeah, it's really interesting. And one of the things that I've always said about the paranormal, trying to do a true scientific investigation, is is extremely difficult because you don't have a true control object.
Right.
And that makes it very, very difficult. But I really respect what you're trying to create an experiment there, and you've had some results, which is fantastic. I do have a couple of quick admin things here real quick. We've had a couple of super chats come in. Lynn Bowling, $5 Keep It
Thank
Up
you.
super sticker. So thank you very much, Lynn, for that. And then Tom McNicholas with a $5 super chat. He says, I don't think I could think my words through telepathy. My mouth never shuts long enough to try. Thanks, Tom. He also had a question earlier on for you, Brian. So Tom wanted to know, if you never got into the paranormal, what do you think you would be doing now?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm a creative guy, so as part of my paranormal journey, I love to do creative things. So any of the events that I'm part of, a lot of times I'm usually making the posters for them. I've done the program booklets for several events. I made a paranormal card game called The Three Pillars. I'm a gamer. I love games. So if it wasn't paranormal, I feel like I would still be doing creative things in whatever piqued my interest at the moment. But I don't know. I feel like I'm here because this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I took 2018 off because I needed some time to recharge my batteries. And I was seriously thinking of just retiring and getting out of it and going in a different direction. But I feel like I got pulled back in, and there's probably a reason for that.
Well, if you've never played Skyrim, you need to do that. Best game ever. Okay. Ever.
See, I haven't played it. I'm looking over at my Xbox. I don't play a lot of video games. I can count on one hand how many I actively play because there's only so many hours in a day, and I'm busy doing
where's the time?
Other things. But Star Wars Battlefront 2 is one of them, and Ghostbusters. Just came
Oh
out
my
again
goodness.
There you go.
on the Xbox One.
Yeah. The only one I ever play is Skyrim, and it's not. I don't ever have any time anymore. But nothing relieves stress like beating the tar out of dragons and bandits.
So I think I have it. I'm looking over at my system, and I've got a good dozen games still in the cellophane that I haven't touched yet. That I figure I'll eventually get to when
One of these days.
I don't have to go to work.
You will love it.
Yeah, that's funny because my degree is in game and simulation programming, and
Nice.
I haven't done anything with gaming for probably a good 5 or 6 years at least. I just haven't had the time. Kind of like you're saying.
I get to watch my son do it while I write or edit or something else. That's when I get my chance. I get to watch him do it. So,
yeah. But Brian, being a creative person, you're talking about how you have that history of the paranormal exhibit that you're taking on the road. So tell us about that. I mean, I'm a big history nut, so something I'd probably certainly be interested in.
Okay, in addition to exploring the paranormal, I've always been a person who's wanted to educate. And unfortunately, once you say educational, people start to tune out and zone out. And that's why the shows are the way they are on TV. Not bashing anyone, just speaking truth. I wanted to let people know that the paranormal existed before Jason, Grant, and Zach.
Yep.
There's an entire history that comes before that, and I feel that for everyone to kind of advance, you have to know your foundation, and the foundation is that history. So, at a local convention, I curated something that I called the History of the Paranormal exhibit, and it started out talking about belief. It goes into the spiritual movement of the late 1800s, takes you through groups and parapsychologists, and just takes you through the history, and it lands you at the end with the current second renaissance of TV shows, because they are important and they do have their place, but they're at the end of the exhibit, meaning that's where we are now.
Right.
Everything before it is important, and this is where even they have sprung from. That's their foundation. So, I talk about people like, obviously, Ed and Lorraine Warren, Hans Holzer, Edgar Casey. There's lots of names that you should know. And it's funny, I'll go to conventions and I'll say, hey, who's heard of this person? Who's heard of that person?
And they
Crickets.
don't know. Right.
You mentioned the new hot show on whatever channel, and they're like, oh my God. And hey, that's great. Whatever gets you here, great, it got you here. Now let me show you everything you've missed. And
yeah, there's so much more.
To that end, I feel like, okay, I've spent the past 2 years showing this exhibit at this one event, and it's one day, so it's really quick. I want more people to see it. I want more people to have a chance to be exposed to this information. And of everything in there, if you walk away knowing one more fact and then telling someone else about that, then I feel like I've done my job.
Cool.
As a psychic and a medium, anyone in this particular field needs to, especially in my part of the field, the medium part, needs to be extremely well versed in Edgar Casey. There is nobody better to try to even come close to being what he was. That is a lifetime achievement. I'm striving, I'm doing my best, and I will never come close.
The sleeping prophet.
He was amazing. Very amazing. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. I didn't do anything. I just pointed to it.
That's all you have. But that's something, because I can't tell you how many psychics I've spoken to, how many mediums I've spoken to, who have no idea who the man was.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm like, I can't wrap my brain around that. I can't wrap my brain around that, So thank you again, just for putting him on the board. So
yeah. So I mean, in 2020, it's in the planning stages right now, but I'm planning to have a small tour for the exhibits somewhere in the eastern seaboard of the United States. We'll start there. We'll see how it goes. I want to see the reaction to it. That being said, I'm curating things now and getting the logistics down, because it's not just, okay, there it is. There's a lot that goes into it. It's literally like a concert tour where all all the back end stuff has to be done, and I don't have a whole bunch of roadies to help me. It's just me and a few other people. But that being said, I do have a Patreon page like you guys, and my patrons there are helping out with this endeavor. So their membership goes towards getting the poles that I need for the displays, going for the new shelves that are going to house some of the objects, all the admin stuff that goes into putting on this type of a large kind of thing. Honestly, it's a little scary. I want to do it well, so I hope it comes across. So to my patrons, thank you.
Where would somebody go to add to your Patreon page?
My Patreon page is patreon.com/Brian J. Cano.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
Everybody
So yeah, definitely support him. It's going to be a great exhibit. Now, is that something you're going to be doing on your regular guest appearances, or is this like a completely separate tour in and of itself?
This is going to be a separate tour because I want people to focus on it when they go to it, because at the other events, I mean, this was a huge event. There were so many people there, and luckily, thankfully, people came to the opposite end of the place to see me and the exhibit. They got to learn a couple things. We had some laughs, we had some fun, and it generally got good reviews. So I want to keep adding to it. And to be clear, this is not a museum of haunted items. This is not a museum of oddities. Although some things may be talked about when it appeals to the history, this is about the history. So I really want to go into the educational part, but I also want it to be interactive. So there's one portion that it's kind of like a game show. You get to these two boards, and there's just pictures of all these people. They're black and white, and they're all wearing suits, and they look very scholarly. And I'm like, okay, who are these people? And you have to take the names and match them. There's a little Velcro. You have to actually physically place it on the board. And it's like deal or no deal. I'm like, okay, are you sure? Do you want to lock it in? Okay, let's do it. And there's no prizes and there's no money, but people have fun interacting and learning.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a lot of fun, for sure. We had a $5 super chat just come in from Basis 1945, so thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. We also had a question here from Leslie Fear. Is Brian, where is the scariest place you've ever been? I know it's kind of a common question you probably get. A place that a seasoned paranormal investigator got the heebie-jeebies.
This is a 45-minute story in itself, but in short, I could boil it down to 3 words: Grand Midway Hotel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's this is a place. It's in Windber, Pennsylvania. It's about an hour east of Pittsburgh, and it was the one and only case that I've ever worked on that touched upon the demonic, that had a demonic element to it. And I know a lot of people feel that they deal with it a lot more, or TV definitely seems to make us think that, oh, there's demons everywhere. But in all the 17 years for me, one case, and I'm content to leave it at one case.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. It's once in 17 years. It's been, once in over 25 for me, and I know, Vanessa, you haven't really dealt with it a whole lot. So
once,
yeah,
possibly kind of twice, but really once. And I've been talking to the dead since I was 2, and I'm 47.
Yeah, so that's, and it's a common misconception, especially because of TV. And I know you're on some of these shows, Brian, but how do you feel that pop culture has, I don't know, I mean, maybe given an injustice to what's really going on with this demon phenomenon?
Well, I mean, I definitely acknowledge that they exist. They're out there. They're something that needs to be understood, needs to be studied enough to be able to resist and fight them when they are present. I know there are those who study for the glorification and thinks it's cool, or like, wow, it'd be cool to see a demon. No. It's like standing on a street corner and you're about to cross the street. someone crosses the street and gets hit by an 18-wheeler truck. Nobody goes, oh man, I wish that were me.
No.
Exactly.
No.
Just don't do it.
Hey, I'd like to get mugged today. Beat the crap out of me. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
No one says that. No one says that. And if they do, we question their sanity and put them in a padded room. So.
Yes. But I mean, as far as the proliferation of the idea on television, it's TV, it's entertainment. And again, when it comes to the shows, whichever show is your favorite. You know, some people like A, some people like B, and it's almost like sports teams. You pick your team, you put on the jersey, and you argue with the person who's wearing the other jersey. Whatever. It's entertainment. Be entertained by it. Enjoy it. It's nothing to fight about. It's nothing to get in a tizzy about. But don't let it be your sole education. Let it introduce you to the topic, and then do your own. Read a book, get mentored, go to an event. You know, there's plenty of resources out there, and while a lot of it is superfluous, there's a lot of good information out there. You just have to look for it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can use it as a gateway into other and deeper topics. So, speaking of television, your latest show, Paranormal Caught on Camera, you wrapped season 1. I saw that you're starting filming on season 2, which is great. I'm glad you got a second season. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because we've actually had a question or two down in the chat regarding that show.
Season 2, actually, I'm filming for it tomorrow in the afternoon. We have season 2, 26 new episodes coming our way. So that's a proper season, like in the old days.
Yeah, because usually they're like 10 or 12 episodes now. So 26 is good.
Not enough. Like that's a proper half a year. You're going to get half a year of this face to the point where you're going to get sick of seeing me. Yeah, we have 26 new episodes coming, and it's going to be more ghosts and spirits, more cryptids, more UFOs, more mystery, and me saying, what was it? So much so that, and I didn't realize I was doing it. Someone pointed out to me that I always kind of end on it's not this, it's not that. So what was it? And that's kind of my I guess my catchphrase now, to the point where the producers are like, Brian, you did it again. I said, oh, I'm sorry. They're like, no, we like it. Keep saying it.
Now you have to do it, right?
Now I could say it in Russian. I've said it in French. I say it in Spanish. So I'm trying to mix it up a little bit.
You need a T-shirt with your face doing exactly what it does when you say it. Because go back and watch a show with your hands up like this. What was it?
I want to be like the guy in Ancient Aliens. It was aliens. I don't know what it was, but it was aliens.
But I like Giorgio. You gotta hand it to him, because nobody really knows who the other guys in the show are, but everybody knows Giorgio because of the hair. It's
yes.
You gotta respect it.
Well, that's why in the paranormal, it's a field filled with mostly bald guys. That's why I got to keep the ponytail.
Right. There you go. So Alina the fan was wondering if you have a date as to when the show will be back on.
We don't have a date just yet. As you know, Travel Channel is rolling out a lot of new shows, so they're going to give each one of them their due time. So there's going to be a lot of paranormal programming you're going to see in the next couple of months. Paranormal Caught on Camera is slated to return in 2020, and given that we have so many episodes ready to show you guys, I can't imagine we're going to have to wait too long.
Okay. And Grand Old Folks, as Betty Lange, she was wondering, why do you feel the format appeals to so many?
Well, I can tell you why it appeals to me. When they first contacted me for it, I mean, since Haunted Collector ended in 2013, I've been contacted by a lot of producers and a lot of production companies, and it's always the same. They're like, okay, there's a guy who drives an ice cream truck, and during the day he's an ice cream guy, but then at night he hunts ghosts, and you'll be his tech guy. I'm like, really? Like, no, I'm not. A, I'm not just a tech guy anymore. B, I'll do that for John Zaffis any day of the week. He calls me tomorrow, I'll be the tech guy. But no, we grow, we evolve.
Yeah.
And I feel like, personally, I don't watch the shows because I do it in real life. So when I'm on my downtime, I like to watch stand-up comedy. I like to watch things of an uplifting nature. But I will watch one episode of every new show just so that I can see what it's about, and especially I have a lot of friends on them, so I do it to support them.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
What appeals me most about Paranormal Caught on Camera, it's just fun. When they first contacted me, like I was saying, I didn't know what to expect. I'm thinking like, I'm going to be watching videos. They're probably going to make me look like an idiot and try to use my words to craft things I didn't say.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the call sheet and I saw Rosemary Ellen Guiley's name. And I said, oh, if Rose doing this, it's probably on the level. Okay, let me give it a try. And just from that first preview special that aired last December, they never used a comment of mine out of context.
Good.
I've never said something about this video that they used for another video. It's always been, I either say it or I don't. And it's called Paranormal Caught on Camera, but it's not a show about proof or debunking. It's like, hey, this is a topic that we all are interested in. We love so much so that, look, people all around the world are submitting videos or taking videos of things they don't understand or that they are confused about what's going on. And the people who comment on it, myself and the Marks from Weird New Jersey and everyone else, I can tell you we try to debunk half of them. We're like, you could tell this, you could tell that. But that's not what the show is about. If it's a show about debunking, it would be 10 minutes long. It's about the celebration of this topic that we all love. And you could tell that it's a fun show in the case names, all the puns they use to describe the videos you're about to see. And when I saw that, I was like, I'm in.
It does sound different than the rest of the stuff that's out there. Admittedly, I've never seen an episode, but I work 70 hours a week. So, I haven't, but I will watch now.
You're playing Skyrim. How many of those hours?
No,
that's a good point.
That was back when I had a moment.
Hypocrite much?
and I get to watch while I'm writing because I work 70 hours a week outside the home. Mm-hmm. It's not counting what I do in the home, which is mostly writing or this or readings. But I'm interested now. I'm intrigued.
He kind of called you out, Vanessa.
And you know what? I would straight up own that shit if I was getting to play. But I haven't actually got to sit down and play in probably 4 years. But I loved it when I did.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if the show, almost like my exhibit, if somebody watching the show can get some information they didn't have, if I could give them a tidbit, or if one of the other commentators could give them some knowledge that they didn't have before, then that's great. And it's not a show. Well, I love it because I'm not in night vision and I'm not crawling underneath any houses. So there's that.
Always good.
But at the same time, because they are not our videos, we don't necessarily have to stand behind them like the other shows. They've done the investigating. They're the ones saying, hey, here's what we got. And don't get me wrong, I'll pop on Twitter or I'll go on social media the next day and people will still take pot shots at us and like, oh, you looked at that video. This is what it is. And that's
social media for you.
Sometimes I get mad. Honestly, sometimes it does bother me. But other times I'm thinking like, well, then you totally missed the point of the show. And I love that it has different categories. So if you're into ghosts and spirits, there's cryptids too. So, hey, you might not know about this. Or for me, I'm learning a lot about UFOs that I didn't know before. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm learning a lot and I'm making my knowledge base greater just through the exercise of being on the show.
Speaking of, we had a question come in from Robert Hanna, and he was wondering what your thoughts are on Bigfoot and other cryptids. And you throw aliens in there too.
I'm of the mind that there is a unifying theory to the paranormal. I really do. I don't think that they're separate topics. And even though the paranormal is an umbrella term to encapsulate all of these, I feel like, who knows, maybe some of the spirits we're speaking to can be alien races or multi-dimensional beings. I mean, you take angels and demons, jinn, other beings that we categorize as being paranormal. They could be extraterrestrial. They could be I mean, why can't we ever track down Bigfoot to his lair, to his home, see his family, see the evidence of life, elimination, reproduction, all of that? Maybe he's multidimensional. Maybe UFOs are human descendants from the future. Like, there's so many possibilities.
Yeah.
And to say that one exists and not allow the possibility for the other. So if you're into ufology and say, oh, those ghost people are crazy, or you're into ghosts and spirits and be like, oh, Bigfoot, that's dumb. You're missing, you're sitting down to eat, you're eating the appetizer, and you're missing the rest of the meal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, everything's fair game. Everything's on the table. Take an idea, take a hypothesis, and see where it goes. There's so many different things that could be possible out there. So yeah, definitely, I agree with that.
I do too. And paranormal simply means along the side of normal. That's all it means. So, I mean, anything that is that is out there that's like that does, like you say, fall under that umbrella. Doesn't necessarily mean ghost.
And that's it. All right. I can see in the chat room someone says, oh, we don't even have a unifying theory for Newtonian physics and quantum physics. And yeah, but it probably exists. The fact that you can even quote Newtonian physics and quantum physics, the fact that Newton's model of the universe was one where gravity was a constant throughout the entire universe, and Einstein came and flipped that on its head, means we're still learning, we're still developing, we're still trying to understand our universe. And everything that's in our universe operates under a set of laws and rules. And even if we don't understand it, those laws exist. You can't see gravity, but you see its effects, you feel its effects, and that effect is different on every planet because of the size and the gravitational pull. So to balk at it, be like, oh, well, we don't have this. Well, that's why we're searching. If we had it, right. Mike wouldn't have a show. You wouldn't be in the chat room.
Speaking of, I'll be right back. I gotta go cough. I don't want to blow your eardrums
out.
Oh,
jeez. She's been dealing with some issues here the past couple of weeks. Yeah, she was blowing our ears out the other week. So it's all right.
And that's the thing. Like, all right, the one thing people have to remember, and I'll take this back to the TV shows. It sounds like I'm ragging on them, but I'm not. They're entertainment. They are not about research. So if you're a researcher and you are very into the topic, and like you turn on a show hoping that, oh, it's on the Science Channel, so this one's going to be the one. Remember, they have to have a show that's entertaining, that sells ad space to keep the channel going. So believe me, I know it's disappointing when you tune in and you think you're going to get something. You're like, oh, this fell short of the mark, or it didn't give me what I was hoping for. That's when you pick up a book.
Yeah.
That's when you go to a lecture, go hear Neil deGrasse Tyson speak. The man is entertaining and he gives you information, and he would probably make fun of all of us because he doesn't believe in ghosts.
Right. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I appreciate you saying that, since, you've been on some shows. You have, one that's currently filming. So I do appreciate you saying that, hey, these things are entertainment. But you are correct that it does give an introduction. And, I'll admit, I mean, I watch Ancient Aliens, and it's like they always take it back to, it's extraterrestrial, but even if it's not, it still introduces you to an idea that maybe we don't know it all from the things that happened back then. And so that, like you said, pick up a book. I dive into all kinds of research because I want to know. I want to try to figure it out. And
well, isn't it great to not know everything again? Isn't it?
It's the mystery.
A wonderful state to go, what if? And I mean, when I do get those shows, Ancient Aliens or Mysteries of the Museum, or shows that you could tell again, most of the producers out there, they don't believe, they're doing a job, they kind of get us, and okay, go tell your story. And then they weave something that's entertaining, but you watch and you go, huh, what if?
Exactly.
And all it takes is one person to take that what if and continue down that road. Who knows what we're going to find at the end of that road. So it could be, and what was it? Penicillin was discovered by accident. Maybe by accident, one of these shows that didn't care about research stumbles upon something that benefits us all in the long run. So
Yeah, I think it gets people curious and, wanting to learn more. It gets more people actively searching and exploring, which, I think the more people there, the better. Yes, you're going to end up with, all kinds of different ideas out there, but maybe we need all those different ideas right now.
absolutely. I mean, and again, the shows are entertainment. Be entertained by them. Nobody watches. I can't even think of a doctor show, but no, which is the one with McDreamy and the guys.
Yeah, what was that?
You know,
and yeah, I know what you're talking about, right?
Nobody watches that. Nobody watches. Well, you're too busy not playing Skyrim to not watch that. So nobody watches that and then says, "I'm going to operate on somebody tomorrow," or
right.
A doctor doesn't watch that show and go, they did that procedure all wrong. This is bunk. I don't like this. It's entertainment, people.
Exactly. They watch it for the drama. Yeah.
Honestly, I used to be the same way. When Ghost Hunters first came out and when those first few shows, I would watch it with my arms folded like, until I kind of realized, I'm like, what am I getting mad about? It's a pointless exercise.
Yeah. So interesting question here from Zippy Davis. Do you think spirits have helped solve cases?
I like the name, Zippy Davis.
Yeah.
It's fun to say. Zippy Davis.
Zippy Davis.
We got a problem. Who are we going to call? We're going to call Zippy Davis. So much so I don't even remember the question. Okay.
Spirits.
Zippy Davis.
Zippy Davis.
This one.
That's right. Zippy Davis. Yeah. Do you think spirits have helped solve cases?
I think they can. And I mean, I'm less of a person to answer such a question than a spirit medium, because when spirit does come to me, there's that translation block to me, because I can't just hear them and interpret voices or things. I need other gadgets and things to help me even know that there's something going on here. Like, I'll feel it, but I can't translate it. That's when I'll turn to a psychic and say, hey, I'm feeling something here. What's going on? What's happening here? And that being said, I think they could. I mean, it's been my experience that more often than not, spirit just wants their stories told. They want to impart information. And if some of that information is, oh, by the way, he murdered me, then maybe. But I found it's not always as simple as that. So it's a partnership. They need us. We need them. And yeah.
When it comes to spirit communication, that is the one instance, the one that I can guarantee you where the easiest answer is the right one. That is not accurate. It might take 2 weeks for them to get out their entire message, and it'll come in 1-word increments, and it'll be code half the time, and you've got to figure it out. And it's frustrating, it's entertaining, and it's exhilarating and humbling. Very, very humbling, especially when it has to deal with somebody's death. So yeah, they do help. They can help, but it's never easy.
And I often wonder too, like, I'll always get people at events that come to me, and we're doing investigating in different parts of wherever we are, and invariably they always come to me and they're like, oh, we got an EVP, it said get out. And the joke is, oh, is that the first thing that one learns when they get to the other side? That Beetlejuice handbook for the recently deceased, page 1, saying get out to the living. Like, it makes you wonder, like, okay, what are, if any, are those rules for interaction with the living? And I mean, personally, I'm at a place now that I feel like, okay, if the soul is immortal, the spirit, the soul, whatever you want to call it, if it survives and lives on, if there is reincarnation, a great movie that you have to be in a certain state of mind to watch and understand is What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams.
Yeah.
If I had seen it when it first came out, I would not have understood it. I've seen it since then, totally got on board with it, and in it, spoiler alert, but it's a 20-plus-year-old movie, so tough. The personalities that are over there, as Robin Williams is interacting with these different spirits, he's seeing different facets of who they were in different times. So he comes across this old man who was his son in that life. And it's like, okay, well, if there's reincarnation and you're coming back time and time and time and time and time again, people wonder, why hasn't Harry Houdini communicated with us? He said he would. Well, maybe he doesn't care anymore.
Right.
Because that fraction of all the multiple personalities that he's existed and over the eternity of our lives, it's not important anymore. Maybe it's like, oh, I see the big picture. Nothing to get in a twist over. Or maybe just I no longer care, or it's not important because I've got bigger cosmic things to deal with. Thanos is coming, I don't know.
Or something as simple as people want to have the communication, want to have that validation that he's on that other side speaking to them. They want to hear it so bad, they don't listen.
Well, it's like, and that's the thing, we can only describe things through the lens of that which we can see and understand. So it's almost like a little child and the parents. The kid is like, mommy, 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 mommy. He's focused on what he wants. He wants candy. He wants whatever he wants. He wants it. He wants to hear it. Meanwhile, the mother's thinking about, I got to go pick up the dry cleaning. I got to make dinner. I got to do this. Right. All the billion things you said you do. You're thinking macro. The child is thinking immediacy. And the human race right now is that child thinking of our immediate needs.
Hyper focused and absolutely.
And
yes.
Why aren't we getting what we need? Why aren't we getting what we want? Because again, the universe is not catering to our particular desires at the time when we want it. So I guess we have to be patient, and we have to understand that, when we do get information, it's going to be fragmented. It's not always going to be served up on a platter that is easy to digest.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, we understand so little, but we keep looking. So
let me ask you this, because you did throw out the the guide from Beetlejuice, which is awesome. But do you think that there might be something like a rule book over there, not necessarily a book, but at least some sort of set of rules where it seems like when we investigate, we might get some information about who we're speaking with, maybe something they experienced, something about their time frame that they're coming from, or the building that we're in at the time. But very, very rarely, if not at all, do we ever get any information about what it's like on the other side. Do you think that's could it be a rule thing? Could it be something that's they're constrained from actually speaking about? Or do you think it's more we don't understand how time dimensions in the universe works?
The short answer to that, there are records of transmediums who have communicated what it's like over there. And actually that movie, What Dreams May Come, does seem to have it seems like they did their research on that movie, but I've read a lot of accounts of what daily life is like over there, how interaction is. They don't need to eat, but they can, because it's a pleasure that they can partake of. There's no illness or death or anything that we have to deal with over here. I always botch the saying, as above, so below,
as above, so below.
As above, so below.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense to me, because then it seems the other way around. Like a lot of things I've said from below, but whatever. It seems like it is a mirror of what we go through. But again, could it be because we can only see that which we understand? So like taking it back to, let's say, like Paranormal Caught on Camera, one of the videos I had to watch had to do with fairies. And when you deal with the topic of fairies, like, oh, it's weird. You think of like these little winged creatures, sprightly, what we see in Grimm's fairy tales and things of that sort. But remember, the first person to observe something, tell about it, will almost be the benchmark of how that is then disseminated across everybody. So maybe this afterlife, as it's understood to us and is described to us through transmediums, is all we can grasp at the moment, because to say anything else, we might not understand the totality of it. And actually, I've been looking into some things, and this is when I start to think that I sound crazy, looking into theories like the I am, we are, the bubble within a bubble theory, how everything in our known universe is in this bubble, almost like the Matrix, and that reality is out in this other bubble. And these beings, these celestial beings, beings of light, things that we might even call deities, are out here, and every now and then they'll kind of dip in. It's been written that those who are seen as prophets, your Jesus, your Moses, your Mohammed, were maybe celestial beings that popped in to give us a little bit of knowledge. And again, this touches into
or aliens,
theology, sociology. It's got to be aliens,
right?
And that's the thing.
Sorry.
All right, take Star Trek and Star Wars and all this stuff. Like, go out into the furthest reaches of the universe. That's still in the bubble. So
right.
That's not real. That's not truth. That's not what's out here. Because what's out here, almost like, all right, we exist in here, our physical selves. The souls get released into this bigger bubble. It's mind-boggling. I had to wrestle with
totally
it for a long time.
I totally get it, because I have a chapter in the book that I'm currently writing. I'm writing a book on shadow people. It's coming out in January. It's called Shadows in the Matrix, and the idea is very, very similar to what you're talking about. You're taking in the concept of bubbles, where if you take the concept of what we saw in the movie The Matrix, or even like what we were talking about with video games, you think about like an online video game, and a game master comes into that level, and you can't, as the gamer, you can't actually see that game master, but they're there, and they can actually manipulate and play around with that game world. And so the concept that I'm taking is maybe perhaps if we're living in a matrix, an actual projected world, that maybe some of these entities that we're seeing, like shadow people, are some of these other entities, maybe game masters or what have you, that are in this world that we don't normally see, but occasionally we do and are able to interact with.
Well, that's why the first Matrix did so well. In addition to Keanu Reeves and the bullet time new technology, it struck a chord with philosophers. It struck a chord with people like, this kind of rings true. This kind of feels right. And actually, some of the videos I've had to watch for this season of Paranormal Caught on Camera deal with glitches in the Matrix.
Okay, cool.
And that's all I'll say about that. But it makes you think, okay, well, for everything we do here, if we are running a program, that could explain a lot. And I mean, you can almost see it. I think it was the show American Gods, how in the first season they had all the old gods who had lost power because nobody believed in them anymore. But the new gods were social media, were technology, all the things that we put so much energy into. And if you look at it like that, something like The Matrix is just theology explained in a different manner.
Right.
And mankind is always looking for that something beyond ourselves. We are still children at heart. We want to know that someone is looking out for us, be it a deity, be it a grand plan, be it something that, this is not it, this is not the end. And it's comforting to us.
Certainly.
I'm completely on board with the glitch in the Matrix. I've had, excuse me, we talked about this on the last couple of shows, and I'm not going to go into it here, but I'm fairly certain that's what I saw. The air in front of me was on fire and bubbling, and that was in a closed room of my work, and it lasted about 20 seconds, and that's I don't doubt now. And I saw it with my own two eyes. It takes a lot to freak me out. That freaked me out. That broke me out. Well, it did. It freaked me out.
Froke. That's a past tense of freak. It froke.
So, well, we're actually getting down to the end of the show. We'll throw one more question at you from our Matt.
Is that a froke in your throat?
That was a froke in her throat.
Don't make me laugh.
We'll throw one more question at you from our Mad Hatters down there. This is from Guiding Echoes, Nicole Guillaume. Brian, how has studying the paranormal changed you as a person? How have your views changed?
It's changed me a lot. I've had a lot of, moments where I'm challenged by things that I read, things that I discover that really shake me to my foundation, because we all like to think that we have a pretty good handle on our lives and the universe in general. And we take the things we understand, and even if it's not a lot, we have it and we know it. When that is challenged, it's very difficult for people to accept. And we see this in religion. We see this lately in politics. We see this in sports. You pick a team, you ride or die. You have to be flexible. And in exploring the paranormal, I've had moments where I'm like, no, that can't be right. That can't be right. The Luke Skywalker, no, that's not true. That's impossible. And search your feelings, it to be true. And it really is. And I always tell people that the dissemination and assimilation of that new data is very similar to the stages of loss. There's disbelief, like, no, I don't believe this. That's crap. There's the anger, like, no, it can't be right because of this, and this. And there's the bargaining. Well, maybe about this, but I thought I understood that. And then eventually acceptance. Okay, that's now I get it. All right, that's just a thing. And then the next moment comes and you struggle and go through all the phases all over again. And for me, my paranormal journey has been many of those moments where I struggled. When I first discovered what an EVP was, struggled. ITC and real-time communication, look up time stream group. When I first came across the bubble within a bubble and the I am we are theory, I struggled, and I struggle to this day with things that I think I understand. And sometimes I will retreat back into my little cocoon of, all right, I'm down here, my feet are on the ground, can't go too high, I'll fly too close to the sun, don't want to do that. Then I find myself heading up to see what else is up there.
Cool. Very, very cool. All right. Well, we are at the end of our show. Brian, I really want to thank you for coming on. How can everybody find you?
I'm pretty easy to find. I'm on Facebook. You just look for this mug, or you could go on Twitter at Brian J. Cano. My website to find out everything that I'm doing, where I'll be at events, neverstopsearching.com. And if you want to go as far as to become a patron and just follow in my ventures and be part of them, www.patreon.com/Brian J. Cano.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. Had a great time talking with you. I'll send you some links when the archive goes up and all that. So
thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was fun.
Yeah, definitely. I'll see you on the road somewhere, Brian. And
absolutely, buddy. And we're gonna do some karaoke.
We're gonna do some karaoke. Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
We promised already.
Well, we need 2 more people for that, but I think we could start slow with Under Pressure.
Under Pressure? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We'll do it. We'll do it. So I'll go ahead and let you go. We'll get our shout outs and everything to everybody. So you don't have to stick around for that. But Brian, again, thank you very, very much.
Thank you guys. And for all the people in the chat, thank you. And I'll see you guys later.
Yep. You have a good one.